What if I told you that the only thing standing between you and success is you, not your past, not your circumstances, not luck, just you. Most people say they want a better life. They dream about it, talk about it, imagine it, but when it's time to take action, they freeze, they overthink, they wait, and that waiting, it becomes a habit. 1 year turns into 5, 5 turns into 10, until one day they wake up and realize they've wasted their entire life. How many times have you told yourself, I'll start tomorrow? How many times have you felt that spark of motivation only to let it fade because taking action felt uncomfortable? Here's the harsh truth. Every single day you hesitate, every single time you delay, you are making a choice to stay exactly where you are, a choice to let another day slip away, a choice to let your dreams rot while someone else out there, someone no smarter than you, no more talented than you, is taking action and making things happen. Because success isn't about luck. It isn't about talent. It isn't about waiting for the right opportunity. It's about forcing yourself to move even when you don't feel ready. It's about deciding that no matter how tired you are, no matter how afraid you feel, no matter how many reasons your mind gives you to stop, you will push forward anyway. Think about this. Jeff Bezos started Amazon in a garage. No fancy office, no big investors, just an idea and the decision to take action. What if he had waited? What if he had said, maybe next year, maybe when the timing is perfect? There would be no Amazon, no success story, just another person who let hesitation kill their potential. The same goes for every legend. Oprah didn't wait for the perfect job. She took what she had and built her own empire. Elon Musk didn't wait until he had all the answers. He jumped into the unknown and figured it out along the way. And what about you? Will you be the person who looks back in 10 years and wishes they had started today? Or will this be the moment you finally decide waiting is no longer an option? That from today, you will force yourself to take action, no matter what. Because here's the truth. You will never feel ready. The fear will never fully disappear, but action creates momentum. And momentum makes everything easier. The hardest part isn't running the marathon, it's taking the first step. The hardest part isn't becoming successful, it's committing to start before. So stop overthinking, stop making excuses, stop waiting for the perfect plan, the perfect moment, the perfect confidence. Just take the first step right now, not tomorrow, not next week, right now. Because if you don't, the only thing you'll be left with is regret. Will that be you? Or will you finally decide this is the moment everything changes? Because by the end of this, your mindset will never be the same. Motivation is a lie. It's a temporary feeling, a fleeting spark that comes and goes. One day you wake up feeling inspired, ready to take on the world. The next, you don't feel like doing anything. That's the problem. If you rely on motivation, you will never be consistent. And if you're not consistent, you will never achieve anything great. Because success isn't built on feelings, it's built on discipline. Think about it. How many times have you felt motivated to start something? A workout plan, a new business, a personal goal. And how many times has that motivation faded when things got hard? That's because motivation is emotional, it's unreliable, but discipline is a decision. Discipline means you show up whether you feel like it or not. Look at the greatest athletes, entrepreneurs, and leaders in history. They didn't succeed because they were constantly motivated. They succeeded because they built the habit of showing up no matter what. Do you think Michael Jordan felt motivated to practice for 6 hours every day? Do you think Elon Musk feels motivated every morning to work 16-hour days? No, they do it because they made a commitment. Discipline is what separates the best from the rest. It's what makes the difference between someone who dreams and someone who executes. The average person waits to feel ready. They tell themselves they'll start when they have more energy, when they're in a better mood, when the timing is right. But the ones who win, they don't wait for perfect conditions, they create them. A Navy SEAL once said, the only way to guarantee success is to never negotiate with yourself. That means when the alarm clock goes off, you don't debate whether to get up, you just get up. When it's time to go to the gym, you don't argue with yourself, you just go. Because the second you start negotiating, you lose. Your brain will always choose comfort. It will always come up with excuses. And if you listen to it, you will always stay stuck. Discipline is a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it gets. The first time you force yourself to take action without motivation, it's hard. The second time, it's still hard. But over time, it becomes who you are. You stop needing motivation because taking action becomes automatic. That's how you win. Not by waiting for inspiration, not by hoping you'll feel like it, but by committing right now that no matter what, you will show up, that no matter what, you will take action, that no matter what, you will stay disciplined. Because motivation might get you started, but only discipline will take you all the way. Your brain is wired to keep you stuck, not because it hates success, not because it wants you to fail, but because its primary function is survival, not growth. Your brain doesn't care if you achieve your dreams. It only cares about keeping you safe. And to your brain, safety means staying in the familiar. That's why every time you try to do something new, something bold, something outside your comfort zone, your brain fights back. It floods you with doubt. It fills your head with excuses. It convinces you that now isn't the right time, that you're not ready yet, that you need to wait. That's not reality. It's your brain trying to protect you from the unknown. But here's the truth. The unknown is where all growth happens. Think about it. When was the last time you felt truly alive? The last time you pushed yourself beyond what you thought was possible? It wasn't in a moment of comfort. It was when you took a risk, when you stepped into the unknown, when you overrode the fear and acted anyway. That's the secret successful people understand. They don't listen to the voice in their head that says, what if I fail? Instead, they ask, what if I succeed? They recognize that fear isn't a stop sign, it's a green light. Because when fear shows up, it means you're on the edge of something great. Look at anyone who's ever done something extraordinary. Elon Musk wasn't ready when he started Tesla. Oprah Winfrey wasn't ready when she took over her first talk show. Jeff Bezos wasn't ready when he launched Amazon. But they moved anyway. They ignored the fear, the doubt, the hesitation, and they took action. That's why they won. The problem isn't that you lack motivation. The problem is that every time you feel fear, you listen to it. Every time your brain tries to keep you safe, you obey. But what if, instead of letting fear control you, you used it as a signal that says, this is where I need to go. Think about a thermostat. If you set it to 70 degrees, it will work to keep the room at exactly that temperature. If it gets too hot, it cools things down. If it gets too cold, it heats things up. Your brain works the same way. If your internal thermostat is set at average, the second you start stepping into greatness, your brain pulls you back. It cools you down with doubt, procrastination, fear, and unless you raise your internal thermostat, you will always stay exactly where you are. The only way to break free is to override the system. You have to act before your brain talks you out of it. The 5-second rule, count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and move. Because if you hesitate, if you wait for the fear to go away, you'll be waiting forever. Your brain is wired to keep you stuck, but you are not your brain. You have the power to rewire it. You have the power to override the fear. You have the power to take control. The question is, will you? Success is just a game of momentum. It's not about talent. It's not about intelligence. It's not even about having the perfect plan. It's about starting and then refusing to stop. The hardest part of anything is getting it into motion. That's where most people fail. They hesitate, they wait, they overthink, and in that hesitation, they kill their momentum before it even starts. Think about a rocket launching into space. It burns 90% of its fuel just to break free from Earth's gravity. But once it's in motion, it barely needs any fuel at all. Success works the same way. The beginning is always the hardest. It feels slow. It feels like nothing is happening. But if you push through that resistance, if you keep moving, you will hit a point where momentum takes over. The problem is most people never make it that far. They stop before momentum kicks in. They go to the gym for a week, don't see results, and quit. They start a business, don't get immediate success, and give up. They begin a new habit, miss a day, and decide it's not worth it. But the ones who win, they keep going long enough for the momentum to carry them forward. Look at anyone who has ever achieved greatness. They didn't wake up one day at the top. They built momentum. Kobe Bryant didn't become a legend because of one game. He built a habit of showing up every single morning at 4 a.m. to practice. The first few months, probably brutal, but over time, it became automatic. It became who he was. And once momentum kicked in, stopping was never an option. Momentum is what makes the impossible feel effortless. When you're at the bottom, everything feels like a struggle. Every action requires effort. Every step feels heavy. But once you build momentum, things start falling into place. Opportunities start showing up. Small wins turn into big wins. And suddenly, success feels inevitable. But here's the key. Momentum works both ways. Just like positive momentum can push you forward, negative momentum can pull you backward. Every time you skip the workout, every time you delay the project, every time you make excuses, you're building momentum in the wrong direction. And the longer you let it slide, the harder it becomes to turn it around. So if you're stuck, if you feel like you're not moving fast enough, stop thinking about the finish line. Stop worrying about the big picture. Just create motion. Do something, anything. Because even the smallest step forward can start the chain reaction that changes everything. That's the game of success. It's not about speed. It's not about perfection. It's about building momentum and never stopping. The hardest part is starting. The second hardest part is not quitting. Everything in between, that's where success happens. Fear is an illusion. It only exists when you stand still. The moment you take action, fear loses its grip. That's the secret most people don't realize. They wait, hoping the fear will fade before they move. They tell themselves, I'll start when I feel more confident. But confidence doesn't come first, action does. The only way to eliminate fear is to confront it head on. Think about the last time you were afraid to do something. Maybe it was speaking in public, starting a new business, or making a difficult decision. The fear felt overwhelming before you did it, right? But the second you stepped into it, the second you actually started speaking or moving or acting, it wasn't as bad as you imagined. That's because fear thrives in the space between thinking and doing. The longer you hesitate, the stronger it grows. But the second you take action, it begins to dissolve. This is why successful people don't waste time debating with their fears. They don't sit around analyzing worst case scenarios. They act. They move forward before their brain has a chance to stop them. Navy SEALs have a saying, if you hesitate, you die. It's true in combat and it's true in life. The more time you give fear, the more power it has over you. But if you act fast, before the fear has time to sink in, you take away its strength. Look at the greatest athletes, entrepreneurs, and leaders. Do you think they don't feel fear? Of course they do. The difference is they refuse to let it stop them. Michael Jordan didn't wait until his nerves disappeared before taking the game-winning shot. He took the shot despite the fear. Oprah Winfrey didn't wait until she felt 100% ready before stepping onto the stage. She did it anyway. That's why they succeeded. Because every time you take action in the face of fear, you weaken its control over you. Science backs this up. Fear is an emotional response controlled by the amygdala, the part of your brain responsible for survival instincts. When you hesitate, your brain amplifies the fear, making the danger seem bigger than it actually is. But when you take action, your prefrontal cortex, the logical part of your brain, kicks in and overrides the fear response. The result? Fear disappears because your brain now has real evidence that the danger isn't as bad as it seemed. So what does this mean for you? It means that the next time you feel fear creeping in, don't wait. Move, speak, decide, do something. Because the more you act, the less power fear has. The more you hesitate, the stronger it becomes. You don't get rid of fear by thinking your way out of it. You get rid of fear by moving through it. The difference between those who win and those who don't isn't that winners are, it's that they take action despite the fear. Fear doesn't control them, they control it. And if you want to break free, if you want to step into your full potential, you must do the same. Take action now, because the longer you wait, the more fear will steal from you. And you have too much to accomplish to let that happen. A no matter what mindset is the difference between those who succeed and those who stay stuck. It's the mindset that says, I don't care how I feel. I don't care if it's hard. I don't care if I'm tired, frustrated, or uncertain. I show up anyway. Because most people, they only show up when it's convenient, when they feel motivated, when things are going smoothly. But that's not how success works. Success isn't built on convenience. It's built on commitment. Think about the greatest athletes, the most successful entrepreneurs, the world's top performers. They don't wake up every day feeling unstoppable. They wake up with the same doubts, the same fears, the same struggles as everyone else. The difference, they don't let those feelings dictate their actions. They have a rule. No matter what, I do the work. Kobe Bryant didn't train at 4 a.m. because he felt like it. He did it because it was who he was. He made a decision that excuses were not an option. Rain or shine, pain or exhaustion, success or failure, he showed up. And that's why he became one of the greatest of all time. Most people operate on a when I feel like it mindset. I'll go to the gym when I have more energy. I'll work on my business when things settle down. I'll commit when I feel more confident. That's the mindset that keeps people average, because waiting for the perfect moment is the fastest way to never start. A Navy SEAL once said, discipline is doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like doing it. That's the mindset you need, not a mindset that depends on emotion. Not a mindset that crumbles when things get tough, a mindset that says, no matter what, I follow through. Look at someone like Elon Musk. Do you think he built Tesla, SpaceX, and multiple billion-dollar companies because things always went his way? No, he faced failure after failure. His rockets exploded. His companies nearly collapsed. He was ridiculed, doubted, and pushed to his limits, but quitting was never an option. He had a rule: no matter what, I keep going. That's what separates winners from everyone else. They don't give themselves an escape route. They don't allow negotiation. They don't rely on motivation. They build a standard of excellence that doesn't bend under pressure. So what about you? What if you made that commitment? What if you decided, starting today, that you don't negotiate with your goals anymore? That when you say you'll do something, you follow through? That when challenges come, you don't break? That when the road gets hard, you don't stop, you push harder? Because the truth is, the world doesn't reward people who try. It rewards people who decide. It rewards the ones who commit at a level most people won't. So, and if you want a life most people will never have, you must be willing to do what most people never will, no matter what. Quitting is easy. It's why most people do it. They start something with excitement, with passion, with energy, but the moment things get hard, the moment it stops being fun, the moment they don't see instant results, they stop. They tell themselves, maybe later, maybe next time, maybe this just isn't for me. But what if quitting was never an option? What if you designed your life in a way that made giving up impossible? That's what the most successful people do. They don't rely on willpower because willpower fades. They don't trust motivation because motivation is unreliable. They build systems that force them to stay committed no matter what. They eliminate every excuse, every way out, every path that leads to failure. They burn the boats. Think about Hernán Cortés, the Spanish conquistador. When he arrived in the New World with his men, he gave a simple command: burn the boats. Why? Because he wanted to eliminate any chance of retreat. His men had only one option: move forward and win. That's the mindset you need. You need to remove the option of quitting so that the only path left is success. Look at someone like J.K. Rowling. Before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon, she was rejected by 12 publishers. She was broke, a single mother struggling to survive. Most people would have quit after the first rejection, maybe the second. But for her, there was no quitting. There was no plan B. Writing was her only way forward. And because she refused to stop, she eventually changed the world. So how do you make quitting impossible for yourself? You create accountability. You put yourself in a position where you have no choice but to keep going. You tell people about your goals so that quitting means public failure. You invest money into your dreams so that stopping would mean wasting something valuable. You remove distractions. You eliminate temptations. You make it easier to take action than to give up. Think about fitness. If you rely on motivation, you'll work out only when you feel like it. But if you pay for a trainer, if you sign up for a marathon, if you commit to a friend who's counting on you, suddenly quitting isn't so easy. You've created external pressure. You've made it so stopping isn't an option. Elon Musk once said, if something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are against you. The problem isn't that people don't want success. It's that they give themselves an easy way out. They allow quitting to be an option. But if you truly want to change your life, you must make failure unacceptable. You must remove every escape route, every excuse, every path that leads anywhere but forward. So ask yourself, what is your escape route? What excuse have you been allowing yourself? What is the one thing you can do today to make quitting impossible? Because once you eliminate the option of failure, there is only one thing left: winning. Your future is not something that happens to you. It's something you are creating with every decision you make right now. Every moment of hesitation, every excuse, every opportunity taken or ignored is shaping the person you will become. Most people don't realize this until it's too late. They drift through life, making choices based on comfort rather than conviction, and then wake up one day wondering why they're not where they want to be. But the truth, your future is being written at this very moment. Look at the most successful people in the world. They didn't wait for the perfect conditions. They didn't wait until they felt ready. They acted. Steve Jobs didn't wait for a perfect business plan. He started in his parents' garage. Elon Musk didn't wait for a guarantee that Tesla or SpaceX would work. He risked everything to make them a reality. Every billionaire, every athlete, every world-class performer you admire, they made a decision not someday, but today. But here's what most people don't understand. Your future is being written even when you do nothing. Every time you hit snooze instead of getting up early, you're writing a future where you stay the same. Every time you choose distraction over discipline, you're writing a future where success remains out of reach. Every time you delay taking action on your dreams, you're writing a future where regret replaces possibility. There's a psychological principle called the compound effect, the idea that small choices repeated over time lead to massive results. It works both ways. If you commit to improving just 1% every day, over time, that growth becomes unstoppable. But if you choose to stay stagnant, if you keep making excuses, that too compounds. And before you know it, 1 year becomes 5, 5 becomes 10, and then you wake up and realize you've been writing a story of wasted potential. The good news? You can change the story right now, in this moment, because your past doesn't define you. Your next decision does. No matter how many times you've failed, no matter how many chances you've missed, you have the power to pivot, the power to take control, the power to stop reacting and start creating. But it starts right now, not tomorrow, not next week, now. Think about this. If a camera was recording your life 24/7, what story would it tell? Would it show someone taking action, pushing forward, refusing to settle? Or would it show someone stuck in hesitation, repeating the same cycles, waiting for the right moment that never comes? Because your future self is watching. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you will either thank yourself for starting today or wish that you had. So here's the question. What will your future look like? Because you're writing it right now. Every second, every choice. Make it count. Stop negotiating with yourself. That's the single most powerful decision you can make if you want to change your life. Because the moment you give yourself an option, the moment you leave room for debate, you've already lost. Your brain is wired for comfort, for safety, for the path of least resistance. And the second you start negotiating whether to wake up early, whether to go to the gym, whether to push yourself, your brain will always find a reason to say no. Think about this. How often do you talk yourself out of doing what you know you need to do? You set an alarm for 5 a.m., but when it goes off, your brain says, just 10 more minutes. You commit to eating healthy, but when temptation strikes, your brain whispers, just this once. You plan to work on your goals, but when the time comes, your mind convinces you, I'll start tomorrow. Every single time you let yourself off the hook, and every single time you reinforce a habit of failure. The most successful people in the world do one thing differently. They don't negotiate. They don't wake up and ask themselves, should I work out today? They just do it. They don't ask themselves, should I push through this challenge? They already decided they would. Winners operate from a place of non-negotiable commitment. It's not about how they feel in the moment. It's about who they have chosen to become. Kobe Bryant didn't debate whether he should train. He had a rule, 4 a.m. practice no matter what. Navy SEALs don't negotiate with discomfort. They embrace it because they understand that pain is temporary, but quitting lasts forever. Do you think Elon Musk negotiates with himself about whether to work hard? No. He's already made the decision, and that decision is why he pushes beyond what most people think is possible. The problem isn't that you don't know what to do. The problem is that you give yourself too much room to think, too much room to hesitate, too much space to find an excuse. And every time you do, you weaken your ability to follow through. But if you decide right now that your goals are non-negotiable, that your commitments are final, everything changes. Stop making promises to yourself that you stop setting goals only to let yourself off the hook the moment it gets tough. Be someone who follows through. When your alarm goes off, don't think just get up. When it's time to work, don't debate, just start. When doubt creeps in, don't listen, take action anyway. Because the truth is, you don't need motivation. You don't need more time. You don't need the perfect plan. You just need to stop negotiating with yourself. And the moment you do, you take back control. You shift from being someone who hopes for success to someone who demands it. And when you demand it, you get it.